G'day ladies and gents, and welcome to Heliborne with Mags. So this is the first of the Heliborne flyouts that I organised. We ended up playing 2 sessions overall. One session had to run slightly short, unfortunately. This video is going to be based entirely on the first flight of the first flyout. Now this video is going to be heavily edited. The matches for Heliborne are not your 10-15 minutes matches that you've seen from other games. Heliborne matches actually take a significant amount of time to play through, especially when there are 2 teams that know what they're doing. The average match length was 45 minutes to an hour each. And there was a hell of a lot of back and forth between the teams as we took control points and surrendered control points back and forth. It was actually really good gameplay. It required a lot of thought on working out which bases we were going to take to push which lines. Unfortunately, the first round didn't go in my team's favour. Now, Heliborne is still currently an alpha product. There were bugs, there were glitches, there were things that did pop up, there were reports that were put in during the flyout. Nothing game-breaking. The match went through smoothly from start to finish. It was just a little things here and there that people noticed, and it's the kind of thing that will happen whenever you're playing an alpha product and putting enough people in to run up a full match and actually test the mechanics. Also, we're playing on the Kosovo map here, so this is the newest map that still does need some fine-tuning. But as I said, this kind of stuff is to be expected, and it's what happens when you start mass testing and seriously testing the mechanics of any new game that's in alpha development. Now, we were joined by Deviant Art, the head of public relations and one of the developers from Jetcat Games, working on Heliborne, and he was able to answer a few questions that people were asking on the way through, which is why we didn't have unique voice comms. Both teams were in one, so they had an opportunity to interact with the developers directly, have a bit of a talk on what was going on, get a few answers, and there were a few things that come out of that, but we'll put that up soon. Now, another familiar voice you may hear in the live comms is Arch from Arch Warhammer. Arch is a fellow content creator and a good friend of mine. He joined us for the fun as well. If you are interested in anything Warhammer or Warhammer 40k related, his site is definitely one to check out. Links in the video description below. So how were the flyouts? Well, I had an absolutely fantastic time flying out, although I didn't say as much as I probably could have. I was fairly seriously concentrating on what I was doing. It tends to happen when I get really involved in something. I think everybody else that come along had a really good time. I did notice a couple of things with doing these sort of flyouts in this way. Due to the match length going for up to an hour, and the teams being restricted to only 8 versus 8, actually getting all the people that came into one match at the same time and getting a flyout with me was actually rather difficult. So in the future, I'm actually not going to do these big pre-organised events for Heliborne, at least not in this way. What I'm actually going to do from now on is just announce on my social media and on my Steam group, which I now have control of again. For some strange reason, I got kicked out of my own Steam group and I've had to reorganise to take back control. But I'm going to announce on there a time that I'm going to be on Heliborne and what server that I will be playing on. And anybody who picks up the message, just jump in. You'll see me sitting in a match ready to rock and roll. Once the match fills up, we'll get a game on. Now, as I said, Deviant Art did join us for this particular flyout and did answer a few questions. There were a few things that popped up that he answered directly that I've sort of covered slightly in the past, but it was nice to hear it from him himself. For starters, the UI, which I know is something that tends to pop up rather regularly in the comment section of any Heliborne video that I do, is going to get an overhaul in the future. There will probably be some adjustments of size and it will definitely be cleaned up and made something more modern. At the moment, this is the UI that they are running with for the alpha development. Everything's clean, it's clear, it's easy to understand, and it's very easy to deal with. Also, in terms of graphics, the helicopter models are being updated, the terrain and textures are being updated, and at the moment Jetcat is preparing for a changeover to Unity 5, which will allow them even more options to improve the graphical fidelity of the game, along with the physics and everything else that comes with that change. So we can expect at this time that the longer that Heliborne is in development, the more the graphics of the game are going to improve, the more the physics and the actual control is going to improve, and of course the whole UI is going to be overhauled into something newer and shinier as we progress slowly towards the beta. This should go without saying, of course, but you'll be amazed at how many people don't realise that when you see a game that is in alpha state and that you see a game that is in full release, they look significantly different to one another. And I think part of this is actually a throwback to playing games that are in alpha state is actually a relatively new occurrence in gaming. In the past, a game like Heliborne, or a game in Heliborne's current stage of development, wouldn't even have been announced to the public yet. At this point, it would still be very much behind closed doors, and you wouldn't hear about the game until it was at least in the beta stage of development. Anyways, it's time to fully flick over to live comms with a fantastic question from Arch and a response from Deviant Art that will answer some of your questions.
A question. How far are you planning to push the ground combat mode? How advanced do you want it to be?
Well, right now in the, I'm actually can't talk and fly at the same time, so I'm going to drop out so that there's room for someone. What we have working in the developer version of the game is sling loading, more troop types, and potentially we can have up to 200 AI ground units on the ground, so 100 per each team, outside of the 5 to 6 that you're going to see at each of the capture points. The goal is to get you to a position, get the game to a point where we actually want to pull you away from engaging one another, because helicopter gunships don't engage each other in real life. It doesn't happen. If they do, it's usually an air-to-air missile, and the target never gets a chance to do anything. So we want an environment where you feel like you're actually supporting ground forces, and so we're hoping to take it as far as we possibly can. Hopefully in the next couple of months, you'll see artillery pieces that the transport helicopters will be able to sling load and place anywhere on the map, and those artillery pieces will bombard enemy bases. You'll see things like whenever you've captured and fully upgraded a base, the main base will spawn unguarded transport truck, and if those transport trucks make it to that base will allow you to repair and rearm, so that you can actually push a front line and watch your ground units engage other ground units and push the front line, sort of like a tug of war. A lot of people have obviously been comparing us to League of Legends in regards to having ground units be kind of the primary focus. But we really want people to know what it's like to be a helicopter pilot in a combat environment, and for us that means having a lot of ground forces interaction, and so we're going to take that as far as we possibly can.
Have you ever considered any form of, and this is kind of out of left field, but any sort of commander mode? Because I imagine this game would be very interesting in a Savage type gameplay.
If you mean in regards to sort of Battlefield's commander mode?
Yes, to some extent. Basically just a basic mode where you have a elected member of the team with certain special abilities, like for example being to direct tanks or even call in specific vehicles. Like say for example you have howitzers. Maybe the standard howitzer is a 155mm, but if you get enough points of one type or another, and I'm just pulling shit straight out of my ass here, then you might get a 203, for example.
The only thing that we've discussed is the potential for scout and reconnaissance helicopter to be able to direct the flow of the ground.
Okay.
We don't know exactly what that's going to entail, but maybe a scout helicopter could laser designate something and have a missile fly in, make it easier for other vehicles to lock onto targets, or direct artillery fire at a specific point on the map. We're not quite sure where we're going to go with that, but obviously we do want to showcase the differences in the roles of helicopter. The issue is that Tier 3 and Tier 4 helicopters, the more modern helicopters, a lot of them were designed with the principles of multi-role from the ground up, so it's a little bit harder to have the differentiation in class. But that's something that we've talked about, giving players more agency over what's going on the ground conflict. I don't think we want to have a mode that has one person not flying a helo on each team. If that's ends up being, you know, something that we can try out and you guys like it, then obviously we'll do more testing. But I think we want to keep it to where people are in a helicopter and directing the flow of the battle that way.
So a few more questions answered direct from the developers themselves, and that did bring about a few things that I have known about being in development for some time that I haven't been able to actually talk about. And one of those was the sling loading. This is something that I am really looking forward to. Sling loading is effectively swinging something off the bottom of a large helicopter to move it around. That is to say, something that is within the helicopter's weight thresholds to actually move, but too large to fit inside the helicopter internally. Now, this does open some interesting gameplay options as well, some very tactical ones. Obviously, Deviant Art mentioned that the sling loading could be used to sling an artillery piece to near an enemy base, where it would then constantly shell the enemy base until it eliminated all the targets within it. But I can actually see a defensive alternative for this, sling loading an artillery piece to a base that is either not controlled at that point in time, or is contested, but currently under your control. While you control the base or nobody is within it, the artillery piece will do nothing, but should enemy forces attempt to take that base, the base will automatically come under artillery fire. In this situation, even landing in an uncontrolled base without scouting the area first to see whether or not there are any artillery operating within the area will be potentially hazardous, because, as you can imagine, helicopters, when they're landed on the ground deploying troops, don't respond very well to artillery shells. So I'd just like to take the time to remind everybody to sign up to my social media and to my Steam group. That will be how I announce Heliborne Flyouts, or when I'm going to be on the Heliborne servers from now on. And I'll catch you guys at the end of the video.
Oh my. That's a big old Black Hawk ass I see in front of me there.
Oh god, no.
Oh god, yes.
Run away. Sorry, I couldn't.
A lot of shit is going straight through you.
I'm hoping sometime before the end of the year.
Hey, Mags, excuse me, but are you one of the helicopters chasing me right now? One of three. Correct above?
Possibly.
Oh, why is everybody following me? Turn. Yeah, damn it.
I'm the one that just killed you.
They will overheat, and you will have to worry about burst fire and ballistic trajectories and the like.
Like I'm running into the whole enemy team.
There we go, guys! USA! USA! Yeah, I think we really shine when we've got a full 8v8 going on.
Right, this time I'm not going to engage, I'm just going to stir the shit out of you guys and get just to chase me, because that was fun.
Like jumping around in my stairs.
I wouldn't use rockets against helicopters. They are intentionally nerfed to do very little damage against a helicopter in flight. So, ATGMs are also intentionally nerfed to where you need to be stationary to be accurate with them.
Yeah, it's key for DTS as well. But...
Mags, I need some help, please. Maybe possible. Some help. Just back up.
Yep, I'm here. One down, engage in a second.
Now, unfortunately, I fired off most of my air-to-air, so...
First base is hardened. Moving on to the next.
I don't think so. A bit of lag.
Output log.txt.
Yes. You can either put that up on our forums, forums.checkagames.com, or put it in Discord for me.
Copy and paste everything, or what?
No, just move the file over. Like, click drag the file.
Oh, this thing is not maneuverable.
Not designed to be.
Yeah, when you're dodging a KA-52, you suddenly really wish it was.
I'm back here, Mags.
Nope, no, I don't think I'll be doing that, no.
Back to the command.
Well, that's assuming an awful lot.
Oh, that's harsh. That's harsh.
Oh, you know I'm messing with you.
You couldn't use A, gun spec me. Okay, they do.
The Americans are coming?
Wrong accent.
Oh no, rockets aren't effective anymore.
Right.
Oh no.
Not against helicopters.
Yeah, no, I'm so used to just pressing 2 and just rocketing down my aircraft.
Back here, Mags.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
You know?
You died and fell on me.
Oh, and will trees ever have evolution?
Yes, eventually.
Well, about to say, sliding through the trees here.
I landed.
See the swarm of helicopters.
What's that behind me? Oh, God.
Oh,
Well, this has been fun. I'm sorry, Mags.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, I think
And
Gotta reconnect.
how long do you think someone could survive after flying over a main base?
If you stay moving,
Yeah.
if you stay moving, if you're low and fast, you'll probably just zoom right past it. But if you stay moving, eventually the main bases will engage you with radar guided air to air, or air to ground, or ground to air. Sorry.
Oh, that's fun. Well, hey, nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Okay, how do I join you lads?
So, how precisely does this end?
have fun shooting me down.
If this last base gets capped, it's all over. Like that.
As to
Right on schedule.
So ladies and gents, that was the end of the first Heliborne Flyout. Now for those of you who hung around for the entirety of this video, I have a surprise at the end. Mr. Rayne handed me over 3 more keys for Heliborne to give away. Now rather than do a big giveaway section for this one, I'm actually going to just post all 3 keys on screen right now. First in, best dressed. So good luck with the keys, and thank you very much for watching. Until next time, click like if you do, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll catch you in the skies.